Rashid. I'm with Alliance Solutions Group, and today we're going to be talking about Sage 100 Construction and Real Estate, which is a fully integrated cost accounting and project management and estimating system. My phone number is below, and feel free to call me with any questions. So, as I mentioned, what we're looking at today is Sage 100 Contractor. As you can see, it's a fully integrated cost accounting, project management, and estimating solution. Although it is fully integrated, security is going to control who can go where, what they can do, and also provide an audit trail from an accounting perspective. But I did set up a custom workflow to go over some specific things this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this menu, and we're going to work through these specific workflow tasks, and each customer can go ahead and set up their own based on the requirements they have at their organization. And so today we're going to talk about vendor controls, starting with the vendor screen. When we jump into the vendor, one of the things that you'll notice right away is we're looking at a window contractor, and we can organize our vendors by type. These types are user defined, and they do help us with reporting. In addition to that, as we issue subcontracts and purchase orders for this vendor, we're able to get a log of all of the issues we've created for this particular vendor, therefore keeping a complete history of what we let out with this particular sub. Lastly, we're able to track certificates of insurance. So simply clicking that button lets us know what certificates we're tracking, when they expire, and whether or not we've got the system set up to give us proactive warnings as these certificates of insurance actually do expire. So one of the things that we can do in terms of vendor maintenance is generate reports such as an insurance report. Now what this tells us as the contractor is I can run this report and say, go ahead and give me all of my particular vendors that have insurances that have already expired. I can also look out into the future and say, give me all of my vendors that expire at the end of next month or at the end of the quarter or whatever that might be. Anyhow, when I run this report, it, by vendor type, tells me which vendors we have certificates of insurance expiring. So like, for example, here under Windows, I can see I've got Perfection Windows already expired, and here is who I need to contact about that. If you'd rather send a letter in lieu of writing or making a phone call, we can actually generate those letters right out of the system. So it's one thing to proactively monitor these certificates of insurance. It's another thing to proactively communicate this. And with our Outlook email integration, I can get this email out the door very quickly just by clicking this Outlook button. It's now converted that letter to a PDF. I just indicate who is that going to and hit send. And that notification goes right out the window. Next, we'll talk about issuing some subcontracts. So we've created our vendor, tracked their certificates of insurance, made sure our subs are compliant. So since they are good subs, we're ready to issue contracts for them to perform some work. And when we do that, a couple of things that are important. First off, we are going to track a schedule of values. So this is how we purchase the job out. It's allocated by cost code and cost type. and this is the base contract amount. This, of course, can generate an actual subcontract agreement out of the system. You can modify this to have your own legal language added to this, and the logo and everything else. And of course, again, as I mentioned before, we can send that out of Outlook, so we can leverage our database of contacts there. But when that contract comes back signed, it might be important to go ahead and keep a record of that signed contract. And we can do that with our attachments feature. Now, this is available throughout the software. So as I was mentioning earlier about certificates of insurance, if I received a certificate of insurance and wanted to scan a copy of that and attach it to their vendor record, I could do that. In this example here, though, we're talking about a signed contract. And so you can see I've already done that. And I can double-click to access the file. And I've got the signed contract agreement contained right here in the subcontract window. And what's nice about attachments is it can be any type of attachment. It can be a picture, a link to an email. It can be anything you want it to be. And you're not limited to one. So, for example, I've got the signed contract agreement here. I may have also included a copy of their quote, indicating what type of windows they used, or maybe their warranty letter. Whatever it might be to support the validation of this contract, I can go ahead and incorporate that here. So again, we've got a vendor created, we've managed their certificates of insurance, and now we're issuing them a committed cost, a subcontract agreement. And once we've got that done, typically you could have change orders occur on the job. And what's great about change orders is they're fully integrated all the way through the application. So, for example, the first one we're going to look at is an upgrade that the customer made of us to increase their contract to add impact windows in lieu of the standard windows. First of all, we're tracking that change order by a change order number. You'll notice when I drill into the job that the actual job itself has a change order log giving me a recap of all the change orders that have basically impacted this project. So a complete audit trail there with drill down. I could drill into any of these. And in addition to that, I'm telling the whole story of the change order here. So right here, I'm indicating what the customer requested. They wanted to upgrade all windows to impact glass. This is the amount that was requested. We asked the client to pay. Here's what they agree to pay. Here's the cost code impacted by this change order. And I can even track the type of changes based on the way we want to as a company. Again, that helps with reporting. Now that's one side of the story. But how about how this change order impacts my subs? That's right here. Click on that button, and here what we've done is we said, okay, well, this is going to be required perfection windows to go ahead and switch out the standard glass to this upgrade impact. And there's a cost associated with that, $7,000. So what we're doing here is giving perfection windows a change order. You'll notice it's associated with their base contract. We've given them a change order number specific to their contract. You'll notice the two don't agree because they do not have to. This is the second change order for perfection windows. It is the third change order for the record residence. And what I mean by fully integrated is when I drill into that contract right from here, this is the very contract I showed you before, and you look at the change order log, you'll see that actual change order being incorporated into their base contract, which upgrades the contract amount. Now, going back to this change order, we produce a legal agreement, so to speak, out of the system. The subs and the prime, i.e. the client, their change order form looks the same. Looks like this. We recap the contract, give them an opportunity to sign off on it, and we can go ahead and capture that into the corresponding change request. Now, what about in the event of a back charge? This is something that, relates to increasing our prime contract with our customer, increasing our subcontract to the sub. As a side note, it also will increase our budget from a job costing perspective. I'll show that here in a minute. But what about when we have some sort of issue on the job that requires a back charge? Well, we can handle that too and provide the audit trail. So let's go back one record here. In this particular example, what we have happen is we have a leak to the windows, and it's under warranty. It's approved. The type is a back charge. So we're tracking all the metric information that will assist us in reporting later. But you'll notice there's nothing on the prime side because this really has nothing to do with our customer, but it certainly has to do with our sub. So first off, as I mentioned with the attachments, we can go out and capture a picture of the damage to help validate our claim on the sub that they had created issues with the workmanship. And then I can go in and correct the work and indicate that I corrected it. And in this example here, I did not have them perform the corrective work or even another sub. If so, I could indicate that. But instead, we had our punch guy perform the corrective work. And so, and it was done to the finishes because that's what was damaged. So I increased the budget for that line item on my job cost. So we increased the budget to finishes to incorporate the additional cost for the rework. However, I've got to decrease or back charge the sub. So here I put an indication of what is happening, what they're being charged, who that is, and again, this is fully tied back to the subcontract agreement. So when we look at the change order log, you'll see that back charge here as well, giving us a total of the difference and impacting their contract summary. So everything seamlessly ties in, provides real-time reporting, and how that benefits us is now if I needed to look at an audit of a subcontractor on what they did on a job, it's easy as double-clicking on the audit report, indicating the job and the vendor that we're looking at, and pulling the report. And this gives us a complete accounting of what has occurred, what they did, any back charges, any up charges, invoices that have been incurred, and the remaining balance. So we have a complete history of the whole life cycle of the sub, and here's the great thing. We have drill down. So what I mean by that is if for some reason I don't remember if we did the corrective work on this change order or not, I can just double click. It drills into that change order with the back charge, and I can remind myself that, hey, our punch guy did the corrective work. Close out, end up right back where we're at. We can also now start looking at our data a little differently, like maybe a job cost detail report. Now, this particular report gives us a complete reporting of the job by cost code. So these are all the cost entries by cost code. You'll notice it gives the vendor, their invoice number, organized by cost code, all the way down through the job. It also allows us to drill into specific cost codes. So, if I want to look at individual cost code, I can do that. Say, for example, Windows. So I can filter this report really to show us the scope of work we want to look at. I could pick a cost code across all jobs, or maybe I wanted to look at a vendor. Maybe we have a thought that Perfection Windows has created some challenges with bad installation on a particular development. So I don't really care what job it is or even what cost code it is. I want to see everything that Perfection Windows did across all my jobs. This report here will let me filter the data from this master list of costs into the specific things that I want to look at. Or lastly, if I just want to look at it at a high level with the capability to drill into it, I can do the same thing here. And this will give us a perspective by division and by cost code, and indicating change orders through it too. So again, different ways to look at the data. It's really based on the client's needs. But we do come with over 1,000 reports. So there are a lot of built-in ways to help manage the information. So to recap, what we just did is we looked at the life cycle of a vendor interacting on our jobs and how we might manage that vendor more effectively and more efficiently. And hopefully what we've done today is shown how we can do that in an easy-to-use fashion with accountability and the capability to drill down quickly to get the information we need. Lastly, like I mentioned earlier, these types of workflows are available for all disciplines of the job, be it contract management with my client, scheduling, all those types of things. So if you do have any questions, again, feel free to call me. Again, Andrew Rashid with Alliance Solutions Group, 888-559-9540, extension 2001. Thanks. Have a good day.